Good morning, everybody. My name is Jeremy Burgin, and as mentioned, I'm a local entrepreneur here based in West Michigan. I'm a husband and a father to 4 beautiful children. And one thing I need to mention is that you're looking at 3 children right now. We do have a 4th. Her name is Jordan Grace. She's 5 years old, and I swear to you, every picture that we looked for, she was either missing or crying. So I hope that you guys can all understand where I'm coming from here. But lastly, I'm a God-fearing man that strives every day to push the kingdom forward. See, we identify ourselves in many different ways. A lot of times it's through our vocation, through our family, or through our faith. But today, I'm here to tell you about how I identify myself, which is the king. And I've crowned myself the king of 2 things in my life. The first is, I am the king of running out of gas. And I guarantee you that I have ran out of gas more than all of you in this room combined. From catching tractor rides from farmers in the plains of Kansas to, imagine this, I was working 3 jobs at the time, over 100 hours a week. My night job was at a AAA inbound call center where I was taking calls for, guess what? People like myself. So I stroll in smoothly, eloquently, right into my parking spot with no gas, to go inside, to put on my headset, and to start taking calls from indeed individuals who have run out of gas. But I think that AAA loved me because they wanted relatable individuals. They wanted individuals that could empathize with their clientele, so I thought that I fit in pretty well there. But ultimately, I call myself the king of failure. And I've been very successful at doing this in my life. How did I get comfortable with failing, you might ask? Well, especially because it's not a characteristical norm, if you will. But let me introduce you to William Edward Burgin. Most people knew him as Bill. I knew him as my dad. My dad was born in the inner city of Kansas City, Kansas, with 9 siblings. And he was born with an ear for music. And by the age of 3, he was performing in his church. By the time he graduated from high school, he had mastered the woodwinds, the brass, and the percussion. Fast forward you some years, he found himself playing with the iconic model, actress, and singer Twiggy in London. He also played with the famous band Tower Power, based out of San Francisco, California. You could also find my dad playing with the infamous Sly and the Family Stone. And most of you guys may know this individual, but my dad spent a lot of time with Jimi Hendrix. And I'm sure you all want a Jimmy story, so I'll give you one. So Jimmy, my dad said that there was many times when they left on an intermission and Jimmy was unable to return. And I think this is a perfect segue to move into how my dad decided at this moment in his life that he was going to clean himself up. But what he was told is that his music and his passion was associated with his chemical addictions. And in order for my father to clean up his act, that he was going to need to give up his passion, which was music. So he did. my dad found himself working at the world-renowned Hazelden in Center City, Minnesota. He also met a gal by the name of Mary Linval, who was teaching there, and a year later, they were married. And shout out to that, because I'm here today, so pretty excited about that. Thank you. So my dad, he ended up being chosen as the Minnesota elect for the Just Say No campaign when Nancy ran it. And then by the time Bill Clinton came into administration, my dad was chosen to be one of the top treatment programmers in the country. And he started to work through the U.S. Embassy, and our family moved to Warszawa, Poland, the capital, where my dad started to work underneath Lech Wałęsa, who was the president at the time. We spent 2 years in Poland, and my dad was training counselors, psychologists, administrators, how to facilitate this program in their prison systems as they were having issues with inmates coming in with chemical addictions and leaving without help. So when my dad wrapped up this project, the country of Sweden was recruiting him. And we were planning on moving to Stockholm, Sweden. Visited schools, the whole 9 yards. When my grandma got ill, we moved back to the States, and my dad started traveling to Sweden for a month at a time to handle the business. So my dad gets a phone call one day, and he's told that they want him to fly back to Poland, and they want him to bring his family. And Stephen Kwarznecki, who was the current president of Poland at the time, wanted my dad to fly over there so they could honor him. And they honored him with the Officer's Cross, which is the highest award that a civilian can receive in the country of Poland. Thank you. And so we went to the President's Palace, which is the equivalency of the White House. And we met the President, and there is when he honored my father. And to think, what if my dad wouldn't have had that mustard seed of faith in that moment, that pivotal moment where he was choosing to give up his passion? As a kid growing up, I had the privilege of watching my dad re-identify himself for the betterment of myself and my siblings. Because he understood that it was bigger than him. It was about impacting the generations to come. And fast forwarding you a few decades, before my father passed, he had the opportunity to see all 4 of his kids blossoming in their own ways. And as it relates to my businesses and my career, the faith of the mustard seed that my dad has instilled in me has allowed me to get to the point where I'm standing in front of you today. Not as a complete success, but as an overcomer of failures. And you don't get to this place without failing. You don't get here without learning how to navigate through failure. And now that I've gotten to the point where I have several businesses, I understand that it's not just me, it's my team. And they need to understand and know that the mustard seed of faith flows through them too. So how do I do that? First, We are solution-oriented in all of our discussions. We don't spend any time trying to find out who did it and how, but we spend all of our time eliminating that noise and focusing on the solution at hand. The second is that I instill confidence and I encourage my team to push themselves where a mistake is inevitable, because through mistakes comes development. And through short-term development comes success. And we value development as much as we value success. So today, if you're in a place where you're in a place of challenge, I encourage you all to embrace it. Know that growth and understanding comes from this process. And believe that you can will your way through any obstacle because it's possible. And for those that are experiencing the ultimate success today, I want you to remember that pride comes before the fall. So be humble. Don't get comfortable. Focus on doing for others, and strive for servant leadership in all that you do. And the cultivation of these seeds will produce the best fruit. Because again, it's bigger than you. It's the generations to come after you. It's the teams that you lead. And it's the community that you live within. And it all starts with the faith of a mustard seed. Thank you.